as I reported last time, of the known short-term rentals in Glens Falls, more of them are in our R1 and R2 residential areas than in the other districts, and that's not what we want to see. That's not the feedback we got from the community in the survey or the open forum. So what we're looking to do is put forward draft regulations. It has some maintenance stuff, it updates some definitions, has some permitting process things in there, but the big change is that we're going to be proposing that we do not allow short-term rentals in the R1 and R2 residential areas, or the heavy industrial area, and that for people who already are operating those, there will be a sunset period of about five years, and that allows people who are already maybe invested and thought they would make money to phase that out over time, and then that will not be transferable. So if someone else buys that property, they cannot now run a short-term rental. So the goal will be to move these to our commercial and industrial areas other than heavy industrial. We are also looking into proposing an additional occupancy tax to be collected by for the city of Glens Falls in addition to Warren County. We're still looking into the logistics of that, the mechanism for which we would do that. But again, that's not a tax that the short-term rental owner pays. It's really charged to the renter. It's commonplace in many cities. And the owner would collect it, and then it would be due to the city, and that would be helpful because they're running a business in the city, and it does impact the services the city provides. So our outstanding items are that we're going to be talking to the county to talk to them about ways we could potentially share services around the fee collection. We would like to know how much they collected in their 4% fees last year from the city of Glens Falls, and then we can do an analysis to see how much would we have collected. So we're going to be meeting again on November 4th at 5:45 p.m. That's a Monday, and we're hoping to have those answers and be able to have a good draft in place. If so, we'll move it forward for the next, to set a public hearing. If not, it might be the following council meeting. But we really, really want to thank Warren County Planning, who has gone above and beyond to provide us with information and best practices and has attended our meetings. And we want to thank the public for their input as well. That's it.
Thank you. Committee reports, Councilman Lackner.
First, the Technology Committee will be meeting Wednesday the 6th at 5:30. That'll be a Teams meeting. I also just wanted to add on to what the Councilor Arch was talking about with sustainability meeting. Some of the things that are recommendations are going to be like costful for the city. It would require an investment. And I think it's important that we start this conversation because I know the comprehensive plan, the steering committee got together, and the first thing that they mentioned as when they were kind of defining Glens Falls was that they saw Glens Falls as a sustainable place. So we are looking at having to make some investments in order to be in compliance with New York State climate objectives, and we'll have to look at things that we can invest in, that we can get efficiencies from, and things that we invest in because we need to move forward and decarbonize not only the city's carbon footprint, but also the community. So that's going to, stay tuned, there'll be more.
Yeah, I think some of the discussion was centered around that, and I didn't bring this up because I don't know, but at some point in time when this does get done, we're going to have to look at, how are we going to move this program forward in a manner that is going to allow us to meet the goals of the plan. And as with everything, there's cost to that. whether or not we're gonna recoup that through efficiencies, we're not sure, but we, as a municipality, need to understand if we're going to try to meet these goals that we're being asked to meet, that there's gonna be some investment on our end of things. So, and hopefully we can meet them with efficiencies, but with that to be determined, there is gonna be some cost with everything.
Okay, thank you. Was that it, Councilman, for committee reports?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is a resolution 1, is a resolution for voice vote to approve the minutes of the October 8th, 2024 meeting of the Glens Falls County Council. Do we have a motion?
So,
Do we have a second? So, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Under roll call vote, are there any items the council would like to pull for discussion? Not hearing any. 2 is a resolution to approve the public hearing to be held on November 12, 2024 at 7:20 prior to the regularly scheduled 7:30 regarding local law to amend Chapter 180 of the City Code regarding signs. 3 is a resolution to approve public hearing to be held on November 12th at 7:25 to amend and add to the vehicle traffic section 802-22 schedule 16, parking prohibited certain hours on the east side of Platt Street from Warren Street to Warren County Bikeway between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and to amend and add to vehicle traffic code 205-58, parking prohibited at all times, to prohibit on-street parking on Goodwin Avenue for the entire length of the street on the north side due to limited access to emergency vehicles. 4 is a resolution to authorize the community development manual payments in the amount of $9,199.53 to pay CT Mail, Flatley Reed, Town of Queensbury, and Newell and Cleanville, the cost related to the Adirondack Gateway Home Ownership Program, to replace a broken printer and associated new ink cartridges, to reimburse the local not-for-profit for eligible expenses for emergency food purchases, and for CBG reimbursement to the city for a portion of the community development director's salary. 5 is a resolution to increase revenue code A009999-4089, government aid ARPA by $10,500 to increase A67145-2000 equipment by $10,500 to purchase for a city 2023 Easy Go Trail compatible cart to be jointly used by Recreation and DPW departments for general duties in Coles Woods, public events, and parades as needed. 6 is a resolution to increase revenue code A009999-4089, general government aid ARPA by $69,251 and increase A23410-2500, other equipment, by $69,251 for the purchase of the city fire department as a revolve air oxygen tank fill station. The shelf life on this unit is expected to be up to 25 years and is replacing the end-of-life unit. This device allows city firefighters the ability to refill their oxygen tanks. 7 is a resolution to decrease expense code A1199990-9000 contingency by $1,490 and increase A67110-4459 forestry services by $1,490 to complete the balance of the city's 2024 tree planting program from Grasshopper Garden. 8 is a resolution to increase expense count line A78810-4479 cemetery other contracted services by $24,000 and decrease expense line A78810-1000 cemetery personnel services by $24,000 in order to pay for the contractor at the cemetery for the remaining of the fiscal year 2024. 9 is a resolution to increase revenue code A009999-2680 insurance recoveries by $2,027.73 and increase budget expense code appropriation A23120-4352 police department motor vehicle repair by $2,027.73 to pay for the repair to Glens Falls PD cruiser. 10 is a resolution to increase revenue code A009999-1589 by $9,240 and increase budget expense code appropriation A23120-1000 Police Department Personal Services by $9,240 to reimburse the salary for the school resource officer. 11, a resolution to increase revenue code A00999-4089 government fund ARPA by $966 to increase A23120-2100 furniture furnishings by $966 to purchase office furniture for the police department. 12 is a resolution to decrease expense code A11990-9000 contingency by $450 and increase A1143-4479-2100 other contracted services by $450 to purchase services from Indeed to recruit prospective employees. 13 is a resolution to increase revenue account A00999-4089 ARPA by $65,990 and increase the following expense accounts. A11620-4479 City Hall other contracted services by $6,955 for new flooring in City Hall and the back of the police department. A4904428 DPW building maintenance by $24,535 for new flooring in the DPW and buildings and codes offices. A1490-4479 other contracted services DPW by $34,500 for new cooling system at DPW. 14 is a resolution to increase revenue code A00999-4089 ARPA by $26,830 and increase A67-020-2500 other equipment by $26,830 to purchase the Burke Swing structure for the Recreation Department. 15, resolve that the Common Council hereby approves the mobile food unit licenses number 44-24, 2024. 16 is a resolution that the Common Council hereby approves encroachment permits number 70-2024 and 71-2024 based on the approved layouts in compliance with PROAG regulations and following the city's standard requirements. 17 is a resolution to approve the warrant. Do we have a motion for a roll call vote?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Archer?
Yes.
Councilman Donahue?
Yes.
Councilman Landry?
Yes.
Councilman Palmer?
Yes.
And Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Thank you. Old business, Councilman Clark.
No old business.
Councilman Donahue.
Nothing at this time. Yeah, actually, there was, in this packet right here, there was evidence of the fact that pollution had been going down remarkably since Lehigh left the area, and that's kind of a plus. And, it's not a plus when people lose a job, but a plus that, we have to meet certain criteria by 2050.
Thank you. Councilman Meyer.
Thank you, Mayor. I received several constituent calls regarding the gathering of individuals in City Park near the library. In fact, I had a pretty strong worded conversation with my wife about it, who was recently in that area. I'm just curious where we are with that.
We've been meeting with the library staff, and we're going to actually go, our police, she's inviting our police officers in to talk to them. We've had over 160, I can send you the report of all the arrests we've made, tickets we've issued,
That was sent to us.
Yeah, we reviewed
So we just need to continue. We're also, I want to call in some of the not-for-profits. We're also working on filling out and getting some interns, but I don't know that, I think that's a great thing and that we should do it both for the interns and for the city social worker. It's not from a lack of visiting, it's a lack of, I think that once we started asking people that we changed the law that said at nighttime that you can't be there, that's had some improvement, but we also turned off the electric in our gazebo, and that's helped, but unfortunately it's moved some of them away from the gazebo and towards that sidewalk area. And we continue to go over and visit daily and work any way we can, offer them services and move them along if they're doing something wrong. We've arrested several people on open warrants too, so although all of that just seems like it's not enough, and it's just not, right? We still have a problem, it's growing in our community, so we need to continue to address it every day and do what we can. I'm thinking of also calling in, I've got a meeting, I think later this week or early next week with Jamie Munyon from the Open Door. I'd also like to call in the other service coordination and see if we can get them to come and visit and engage with people in our park on a daily basis.
Good, thanks.
Thank you.
One other thing, since our last meeting, I met with the Board of Public Safety at their October meeting and requested that the police and fire chief meet with representatives of our 911 dispatch center at the county to review and change, if needed, the protocols for our public safety response to missing children at our schools and our city parks. There was some delay in their response to Kensington Road School due strictly to protocol that is presently in place. Hopefully this protocol is reviewed and if necessary modified to provide for the best response. And I did get a positive note from both the police and the fire chief that they thought this ought to be done. So I look forward to that. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilwoman Palmer, we're at old business.
I never know where to put things.
Yeah.
It's like some of it's both. Just on the comprehensive plan, I know there was a meeting last night, right, the kickoff. I didn't see it on my calendar, and I know it was an open meeting, right? So I just, the person I had selected informed me, oh, it's the comprehensive plan kickoff, but just wondering if you could include us on those calendar invites so that we are aware going forward in case we want to attend or I actually have been getting a lot of constituents asking too, so that would be my request there. Also, this is kind of old and new business. We had a resolution related to Goodwin and the parking restriction tonight. I'm just wondering if there's any update on the Goodwin Avenue sidewalk project that's been ongoing since the beginning of this term.
Yeah. Let me have Jeremy call you. The problem is that I don't want to misspeak, but there are developments. There are the people that had agreed to give us easements so that we could move that are now balking, especially since other projects that they've been asking for have been not well received by the planning board. And so we are definitely still taking it as seriously as we can and pushing that. But that is what the holdup is. And I'll have Jeremy call you so he can give you those specifics.
Okay.
Thank you. We're not walking away from it, just so you know. They're saying, well, you wanted this from me, but we have this new project and we'd like that. And that's not what we want. So,
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'll follow up with Jeremy. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Go ahead, you still working?
Sure.
Go ahead if you want.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to switch topics. Is this related to that? Or?
Well, as I said, I did an inventory of First Ward
Yeah.
on the sidewalks.
Sure.
And McDonald on the east side was horrendous, and it's still like that,
Yeah.
going all the way up to the bike trail.
Right.
And the second place would be on Lawrence Street in Cherry. Somebody's gonna break their ankle,
Okay.
because that's all rubble almost. And they catch their ankle right, we're gonna break it. So I did the inventory on it and put it in red,
Yeah.
and nothing's happened.
Well, there's been a whole bunch that was done of
Right.
what you made an inventory of. At least let's get credit there. But we'll bring, we've done an assessment of the entire city. I want to make sure that I asked you to look and see if the inventory we did matches what your findings were. And then we need to come back and the council needs to decide what our priorities are for the next year of that. So I do appreciate that we didn't get to all of it.
No, I
But,
understand.
and fair enough. And I don't want somebody to hurt themselves. So, okay. Thank you. That whole process is a more positive, proactive one where you'll get to choose from the whole city, and all of those sidewalks and corners have been graded 1 to 5. Sorry.
And then just to follow up on and again, this is old and new, on the topic that Councilman Landry brought up. I had mentioned some ideas I had, and I had emailed you and the police chief and the social worker about some of those, like the program with SUNY Plattsburgh at Queensbury, which it sounds like we're moving forward with, which I'm happy about. And then I wanted to kind of get a sense of where you are with the LEAD program, because I know that came out of our police reform, and it had been received positively, but then I did get a response back that we were not sure if we were gonna do that or not. Do you know?
Well, it's not that we're not gonna do it, we wanna do that, but LEAD is an arrest diversion program, and so we know that the need is not necessarily for those that are about to be arrested, but like there's an additional need to catch people even before they would go into that formal arrest the way that LEAD was originally set up. So we're still following up, and your LEAD's about looking for some of that money. There's is it the drug money or
The opioid
the
settlement funds.
settlement funds?
Yeah.
So we need to continue to do that and meet and move forward with them and follow up. So we're in agreement that that we need to pursue that any way we can. We're thinking that some of that might be technically, like a arrest diversion,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, because I think initially that was how we began, in that more strict way that
Yeah.
it's thought of. But when we met with the LEAD Bureau, they did say it had evolved in different communities. They're now even including the business community, where you can say, okay, you don't need to arrest this person, but I'm concerned there's somebody lingering around my business. Can someone please follow up with them? So it doesn't have to be just an arrest diversion. So and there's such a template in place and so many resources available, and it's known and easier to get funding for. So I just want us to consider it. That's all.
We clearly,
yeah.
we need to move,
Yeah.
not just consider, just so you know.
Yeah.
Nobody's changed their mind, and
Okay.
we need to follow up with that same group and see to bring it forward.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I also really want to commend Darlene, our social worker. I think she's doing a great job spending time out and talking to the people who are in need, and she's coming from a very compassionate perspective, trying to offer them services, and I think she's doing a good job for us at the city. So I appreciate that. That's all I have for old business.
Great,
Slash.
thank you. Thank you, yeah, little old, little new, right? Yeah. Councilman Lab?
I just wanted to speak up to the resolution that we passed, I think it was in June, about supporting Proposition 1. And this has become a political football. To me, it's shameful, the games that are being played with this. This is about extending rights to people in protected classes, nothing more than that. I'm proud of the council for approving that. I'm very disheartened by the way it has been politicized. That's all I have.
New business, Councilman Clark.
I have not, thank you.
Councilman Donahue.
Nothing this time.
Councilman Landry.
Two things. We have 2 new restaurants announcing their pending openings in our downtown. Trey's Mios, which means 3 daughters, a Mexican-themed restaurant, is scheduled to open at 21 Bay Street on the corner of Bay and Maple. And at 13 South Street, Cleon, a southern-style comfort food and beverage dining experience, will be opening later in December. Congratulations to both new businesses, and welcome to the downtown Glens Falls experience.
Thank you. New business, Councilwoman Palmer.
I have 2 things. One is in Crandall Park over the weekend, there was another incident of people driving around and tearing up the grass. And I know that when the beautification committee contacted the police, it didn't show on the cameras. And there was a suggestion that maybe we could take one of the cameras that faces the courts and move it, because there's a camera that faces one of the open fields, but because the camera's there, they're just going to the other one. So can we take one from the courts and move it, just because we'd like to catch whoever's doing this and hold them accountable and make sure that they don't destroy our parks. So that's one just quick thing. The other thing, it's kind of a more big picture topic, but I've attended 4 different seminars in the last several months related to AI. I went to an AI training for my professional association. I went to an AI training at the NICOM conference I attended. I went to one at the trustee conference I attended, and then just this morning, I went to one that was put on by SUNY Adirondack and the Chamber of the our Chamber of Commerce and also the EDC, and they talked about AI agility in our regional local economy. So in all of these trainings and meetings I've attended, it's, this is the way of the future, right? This is happening. It's going to integrate all of our professions, all of our tasks. And it seems like the people who really embrace it and learn how to use it effectively are going to set themselves apart. And I wonder if, I asked at the NICOM conference, there was a gentleman who worked for a bid in the Albany area, and he was talking about how AI could help drastically with efficiency in municipal operations. Not replacing people, but streamlining menial tasks, right? So there are things that you can do, like sending emails, scanning documents, social media posts, communications, like just things that can be done so quickly. And I asked at that training, is there someone who can go into a municipality and train the staff? And he wasn't aware of that yet. But there are people who do that for businesses. So again, this is more of a big picture topic, but I think we need to kind of embrace this and get ahead of it and see what we can do to help our staff be more efficient and to use it. At the presentation today, they really talked about the difference between slow tasks or slow work and fast work. And fast work really requires humans, right? Big picture ideas and creativity, but the slow work is like routine menial tasks that could really be enhanced. So that's just my suggestion, that we look into that as a means to increase productivity and be more efficient.
Great, thank you. Councilman Lappin, would you be okay with your technology committee to?
Sure.
I can certainly look into my Nikon bag of tricks as well, but
Sure.
I know that you guys are looking at the equipment, and we appreciate that work. And I also think that I probably am not the person. I don't know that I have the technological ability to understand maybe a good training from a bad training, or where a starting point would be. So if you guys could add
Sure.
that to your agenda of looking into it, I think it would be great. For too long, the city has kind of been in the mode of maybe not thinking we could afford technology, and my belief is that we cannot afford to not invest in technology, that technology is going to make us better in almost every way imaginable, and this is just one more area that I think you're right. I mean, there are letters that have been written to us and people I've interviewed, and I'm just pretty sure that letter was written by AI. That they put in, they put in the key things, and I can't hold them. I'm trying not to feel bad about that, because if you're a younger person today, to not utilize that tool, I don't know that. But it's the way it was written. It was like it was almost too good. So anyway,
Yeah,
so.
but the thing is, it's the way the future is going, and pretty soon everybody's going to be using it. The idea is not to have it do your work for you, but to have it enhance and like help expedite some of the tasks, and kind of level the playing field, because everybody has skill sets that they're better at, right? So you can utilize it to help with things you're not as good at, right? And obviously responsibly and all of that stuff. But in terms of the cost too, it may cost money if we looked at bringing someone in to train us or talk to us about it. But a lot of the services are very minimal in cost that organizations are already using. And I also think, you start slow and you build, but it's just, whether we like it or not, it is what's happening. So we might as well learn about it and embrace it and learn about the ethics of it and the
pitfalls, right?
the sensitivity of information and all of those kind of things. But
Great.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Councilman Lappin, where are new business?
Yes, this is really hot off the press, new business. I was walking my dog today, and I ran into Paul Addis, who leads the Queensberry Land Conservancy, and we were talking about stuff. He was trimming stuff in one of their parks, and he was saying he was asking me if I knew anybody in Glens Falls who might be able to help with the Van Dusen Preserve. He was looking to get an encroachment just along the trail there, and he said he would put up signs to say, thank you to Glens Falls. It was just to get up to a certain spot, and it's nowhere near where the reservoir is up there, but it's an overlook.
Oh, it's a beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, so
Is that where we went
No,
to?
no,
Okay.
no.
So,
That-
yeah.
That was it, yeah.
so there's also like a little bit of wandering, like just to get away from
There's
some
private
personal-
property.
Yeah, private property
So
there.
we gotta be careful
Yeah,
about that,
but he said that he would make sure he would get the signs up to keep no trespassing, property Glens Falls, and everything, just to get this easement so that all the community can enjoy this nice overlook.
And it's a little challenging to get up there. because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
it's
a
a little
rocky.
steep.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. This weekend, if anybody wants to go, we can go walk up there and see what the overlook looks like too.
I have some pictures.
I don't know exactly what my schedule is. but
Yeah.
I'd love, if you know you're going, let's
Yeah.
send me an email.
I'll let you know.
I'd love to take a look. Is it just an easement to get through our property to
Yeah.
another area?
Just to that overlook.
It's,
So if you send me his information, I'll
Yeah.
get it to Bill Norton, and we'll take a look at that. Because
Yeah, 'cause
we've
this
done
is-
that in the past, like, I
Yeah.
think you guys have approved, like, the logging trail to get the property owner needs to kind of go through our property to get to his property, it's landlocked, so
Yeah.
it'd be similar kind of arrangement.
Yeah.
I know
there are
we can
people
do-
using it because it's
It's well worn. And this would be something that would give more visibility to like us trying to protect the property
Right.
too.
It's
So
a gorgeous, it was, I was up there, it was a gorgeous, I like, make sure to check out the watershed property, make sure and stuff, but.
And
It was
it gets it to
gorgeous.
the proper trail, and it's kind of like it's not anywhere where it's going to get into any of the watershed, sensitive area. It's just to, take something that's already being done informally and formalize it. And also it makes the city look a little better for engaging that way.
The object would be to give them an easement, and then they clear a little piece of that
Yeah.
trail and mark it so that.
I don't know if you really could clear it because it's
already kind of
it's
clear.
already it's very rocky.
Yeah.
Maybe just mark it and
it-
then.
We'll check it out.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll see.
All right.
Jim's got pictures.
I do.
And just one other thing, I just want to express prayers for Mary, who's not here today. I think everybody in the council feels the same way. So just lift her up in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. Under new business and kind of old business, I just want to thank everybody for their support of the Special Olympics Fall Games this past weekend. It was fantastic, and the 2 years in the running that it had poor weather, and this year it was fantastic. It just went great. Also wanted to let people know, if they didn't, I had become aware of this a month or so ago and forgot to announce it, but the City of Glens Falls School District has been gotten now national recognition as a unified inclusive school. That's a program that I started about 9 years ago with New York State Public High School Athletic Association, so we're really proud that Glens Falls has been recognized now as three different unified sports, and is a leader not just in New York State and unified inclusive programming, but also in the country. And when SOI, when they come to actually give that award, I'll let you all know so that you can attend if you're available. It was a big conversation with the Special Olympics staff this weekend, wanting to recognize that and remind everybody of that. So it was a great event. Thank you all very much. Now we'll open to public comment. If anybody, I don't see anybody here from the public that would, Ed's going to ask his wife to come up and speak. She's going to disown you. And Peter, is there anybody online?
A lot of people online, but
Nobody. Before we adjourn, I wanted to important to take a moment to correct some misunderstandings that have been brought to the attention of my office. In today's political climate, facts can often be distorted. Sometimes they don't appear to matter, but here in Glens Falls, I'm confident that we share an interest in reliable, factual information that I'd like to share with some of you tonight before we adjourn. I've been told that some concerns have been raised about borrowing, and the facts are that in nearly 3 years of my administration, the city has not bonded any new projects. The last bond, more accurately a bond anticipation note for $8.2 million, was taken in 2017 in support of the South Street DRI project. The bond that we know that will take place related to the same DRI project, this ban, it's important to note that it will lower debt, not increase it. The ban conversion bond of now at $8.2 million will, which is a short-term note, will be turned into a $3.6 million long-term bond at what is certain to be better terms. The conversion of the ban to a bond will not happen in 2025, but will happen in March of 2026. That amount of $3.6 million is what the current estimate is and what the current budget calls for, but that could change as we finish up the projects of the DRI. The details on this and other aspects of the DRI project will be made available at a public presentation on the DRI that we're planning for November. In a related way, I've heard some concerns about the city's long-term debt. I want to thank everyone for their continued concern about this topic. And in response to the earlier questions, that we have an organizing meeting with the city's auditor and the controller and the members of the council and staff, and that is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. On the second floor. I'm also aware that there are concerns about our health insurance and its impact on the city budget. I think we're all waiting for those final numbers to come and holding our breath. The original quote we had is alarming at well over 100% increase. So we're hoping that we get now some lesser bids, and we're waiting for that. I've also been told there was some speculation about the city's fund balance. So I want to make sure I've got some handouts here. I know the council's already received them, but the total fund balance currently is $10.152 million. The $8.9 million that represents only a part of that, which is unencumbered. And when the money in the fund balance is assigned to a particular year's budget, it means that it's literally reserved, and that if needed, that money would be used for its assigned purpose. In the previous 8 years, the city has never, I repeat, never needed to move assigned funds out of the fund balance to meet the fiscal deficit or after audit. If the 2024 fiscal year ended today, the city would be in a position to not only release the $2.1 million that has a fund balance that's been assigned, but we would be adding $500,000 to the total fund balance, bringing it up to $10.6 million. Well, and one last thing, it does not note the fire truck that we've purchased, but that number won't balance out until the end of the year, because we balance that fund balance at the end of the year. So the fire truck for $825,000 would need to come out of that $10.6 million if we would, so it would only be $9.8 million. So I've also been told there's some unusual speculation regarding the city's use of funds as to set us apart for the American Rescue ARPA money. We've talked about it at length, but let me repeat, the ARPA Recovery Act funds were never a factor in our city's budget formulations. They were recognized from the beginning to be a once-in-a-generation opportunity. They were carefully assigned to invest in infrastructure upgrades and equipment purchases, many of which have been long delayed because the city would not have otherwise have afforded them. We've been told there's also some simple errors about our government and its growth and employment. There are currently 178 positions in our city government year-round. We hire additional people in the summer for recreation and other summer part-time positions. In the past 3 years, there have been 3 positions added. This represents less than a 2% growth in city employment. One of the positions created is jointly responsible for some $16 million in grants that are currently awarded to the city. By contrast, we have also consolidated services significantly with the CDTA merger, and also we're looking at making the best reassignments of our city workforce by contracting out some work in the city DPW through the cemetery department. So I just wanted to lay those facts out, and then that, if nobody has anything else, then we will have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.